And in South Africa, murderer and rapist Thabo Bester and 11 other accused have appeared in court in Bloemfontein in connection with his escape from prison. The convicted rapist and murderer escaped from the prison in 2022 by faking his death, apparently in collaboration with several prison warders. Today, Bester caused quite a stir by claiming that several items with millions and money had been stolen, or worth millions and money had been stolen from him when he was arrested. He believes police and immigration officials know what happened to the items. South African journalist Diane Hawker is in Bloemfontein and joins us live on News Central. Diane, good evening to you and thank you very much for your time.
Good evening and good evening to the viewers.
Now, Thabo Bester's lawyer presented a long list of items that he believes were stolen during his arrest. What were they and what did he tell the court about them?
Well, it was a very interesting and strange development because this was the first that we'd actually heard of these items that were apparently stolen. On the list were a number of electronic devices, including 3 laptops, 2 MacBooks and 1 HP laptop, all 3 of them valued at around 88,000 Rand. He also included a number of other devices like cell phones. And then on the list, he also included watches, which were, I think, worth several million Rand. He listed them as 2 Rolexes, 2 AP watches, and 2 FM watches, which are, high-end brands, and said that each one of those watches was worth about 2.5 million South African rands. And in addition to that, he also noted that there was a wedding ring, which he says is part of what has gone missing.
Quite interesting for someone who, escaped from a prison, lawful custody, to say these things. But for you, what stands out from this list, or what stands out most about this list of items?
Well, exactly what you're pointing out. It is quite strange that someone who escaped from custody could actually have these kinds of assets. When you look at the list that he provided, it also included some foreign currency as well as several thousand South African rands. So in that case, one has to wonder where he could have gotten these assets as well as all this money from. And considering that when he was arrested, he had traveled from South Africa to Tanzania and was brought back into South Africa, there are questions about whether these goods were declared in any way at any of the borders of entry, because in terms of South African law, one has to, particularly when it comes to foreign currency entering and leaving the country, one has to declare that foreign currency to immigration officials. So Thabo Bester hasn't explained how he got these items, but he is saying that they've gone missing and that he opened a criminal case against presumably the officials who had arrested him and wants to know where his items have gone to.
Very interesting indeed. Thabo Bester also claims that he has not been treated in a human manner, or rather he has been treated inhumanely. Can you tell us some more about this?
Yes, one of the issues that was brought up in court by his lawyer, Kabelo Matia, is that Thabo Bester is allegedly being held in correctional services facilities and handcuffed for 23 of the 24 hours of the day. Which would be considered quite excessive. He has said that Bester has requested that there be an application made to the High Court for the Department of Correctional Services to be stopped from holding him within the correctional facility and having him handcuffed for up to 23 hours a day.
Now, in court, Thabo Bester sat next to Dr. Nandifa Magudumana. This seems to have gotten quite a lot of public attention. Tell us more about this. Why is this the case?
Well, the public attention was really because of the interaction that was seen between the two of them. We know that before the escape and also, during the time that he was in Iran, Thabo Bester is believed to have had a romantic relationship with Nandipha Magudumana. But this was the first time that they would have seen each other since they were actually arrested in April, because they're held in separate facilities and their court appearances also haven't been joint court appearances. This was the first appearance where all 12 of the accused were present. They were seated next to one another, not by preference, but because they are accused number 4 and number 5 in the case. And ordinarily, the accused are seated in the number that they are given on the charge sheet. So if you are accused number 1, you would sit at the very beginning of that seat, and it would go in that order. But what was interesting, I think, to many onlookers is the sort of soft conversation that they had. There was a point where they seemed to hold hands. They greeted each other, obviously, as people who hadn't seen each other for some time. And they seemed to be inquiring about each other's health in a very cordial, and one might even say loving manner, which I think many people found quite interesting, considering the circumstances under which they found themselves.
Quite an unusual story, I must say. Diane, thank you very much for your time. We hope to follow up with more as the development or situation develops. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.